on computer. Hello, everyone, and welcome back once more. Now, I'm here with a really good friend of mine, Wendy Prior. Wendy and I have known each other over, I don't know, donkey's years, haven't we, Wendy? And we've kind of like chased all sorts of rabbits down all sorts of rabbit holes together and gone off in different directions and then come back again. And we've shared very long chats on the phone at times. And recently, some of our talks, I've been coming off the phone and saying to myself, I really wish I'd recorded that, because she asks such brilliant questions and she drags, information out of me in a way that when I'm just talking myself, it doesn't maybe come with the same degree of clarity. So we've decided that we're going to do a series of videos, and we'll see how long it goes for and what we do and things like that as it unfolds. So welcome, Wendy, and I'm excited really to see what we do and where we take all of this.
Yeah, me too, Sarah. Absolutely. I mean, I love your idea of really working towards maybe getting a series of little videos together that are somewhere between kind of, 10, 15 minutes long, that really kind of get to the kind of the nub, if you like, of some of the more mind-blowing aspects. So it's like taking all of your incredible research and all of the findings, if you like, that you've managed to dust off and pull back up from the trenches, and you've gone down many rabbit holes and come back out again. And I just felt that when I talk to you, I think, God, everybody should be hearing this. It's such an extraordinary body of work that you've gathered. So I'm really excited about recording these with you. So should we get straight down to it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. So I wonder, I'd really like to ask you first, because I think it's really, really important that people understand, am I in the right place here?
Yeah.
Be beneficial, do you think, just to tell people who it is that you serve, who it is that you're here for?
Okay, who am I speaking to, basically? Yeah. And it is, I see it as being three different groups. The first group is star seeds, and we'll have a chat about who and what star seeds are. But there are plenty of star seeds on this planet. A lot of them are awake and aware of who they are and why they're here. But there's a lot still in the process of waking up, or beginning to sort of think, well, there's something different about me. There's, but how do I understand it? Because we, coming into this very dense vibration here, taking on physical incarnation is a big shock to a lot of star seeds, and we come through veils of amnesia. I mean, it's inherent in the process of incarnating on this planet. So that there is this waking up process, and part of my function, having woken up, finally woken up as a star seed, and really plunged into the reason that I was here. One of the reasons, none of us have only a single reason, but one of the reasons I was here is to help kind of like ring the doorbell for other star seeds, or put the key in the lock and start to open up the vaults of memory, as it were. So that's one set of people that really I'm reaching out to. Another is the spiritual beginner, and I say that because I mean we all have to start somewhere, and a lot of people are wanting to explore this aspect themselves and don't know where to start. Now, Wendy and I have both been in this position quite a long time ago, and it was hard work, wasn't it, Wendy? I mean, well, personally speaking, I spent an awful lot of money on an awful lot of mentors and courses and God knows what that actually were complete rubbish. Looking at it from where I am now, I went up a lot of avenues in order to find out what didn't work or what didn't resonate, or it took me a long time to be able to discern what was good quality information. Mm-hmm. And I've got a library of books, and actually, if I was to do a big sort out, I could probably get it down to one bookcase of really good books, I mean, I've just finished, I haven't even finished. I got about 3 chapters in and thought, I can't give my time to this. A book on Atlantis and Lemuria, and it's a channel book and it's such rubbish, you know. But how do you know that? When you come as the spiritual beginner to this, how do you know it? And so I'm hoping that between Wendy and I, because we've both been there, we've both made mistakes, and we've learned an awful lot about how to avoid those. So hopefully we, between us, we can help you navigate more easily.
I mean,
and come into your own discernment. Much quicker than we managed. Now, there's been a big lifting of the veils of density over the last 30 years. So a lot of good information is much easier to access. But it's still, there's a process. There's a process of an inner process of really coming into alignment with who you are and your own truth, and being able to access that. And we can hopefully help you into that space much quicker than you might otherwise.
I love that. And I think your third area is sort of the more advanced spiritual seeker, isn't it? So
yeah, well, in many respects, it's somebody like you, but you haven't been down my rabbit hole, and why would you? Because actually, I realize everything in me is designed to go down this. I've been put together in a way and given a certain set of gifts, in order to fundamentally fulfill this function, and so. Again, I'm bringing everything that I've learned and everything that I know to people like you who have a lot of background already. But I mean, we have been very deliberately kept ignorant of so much. We have very deliberately been kept away from the true truth of who we are, why we're here, what our true histories are, what's been happening at a galactic level, who our galactic families are, etc., etc., etc. All of that's been very deliberately hidden from us. Now, one of my functions for coming here was to recover that. And I'm not the only one here doing this. There are other people out here doing it. But yes, I bring that to people like you, Wendy, and others out there who haven't maybe quite the same set of I don't know, skills that I've been given, but are equally here to be of service to the collective. And we need good information. You cannot plan forwards if you don't know where you've come from. You need to know who you are. You need to move in alignment with yourself at every single level to be able to work as effectively as possible in service of humanity at this amazing time. I mean, to be here at this time is such a gift. I mean, it's very hard work, but it's also an incredible gift to be able to be part of this great unveiling, this great reawakening and reorientation of who we are as a species, and what future do we want? We're here deciding that at this very minute.
Well, I just love this. I mean, I'm so excited to continue these recordings with you, because I can't tell you from the bottom of my heart how grateful I am that people like you and you exist to go down these rabbit holes, to find this information for us. Because like you say, we need good information. And I can so relate to what you're saying about many of us spend hours and hours and time, fortunes worth of cash, to try to just get to the nub of it. And often we become tired, we become disillusioned, we become confused, we become disheartened, because actually many of us are holding client, bases. We're running families, we're supporting husbands. We've got, all of us, complex lives. And to have somebody like you who is able to just say, really don't worry about that. That's a bit of a red herring. here it is in a pithy form. Here is who you are, where you come from, what you need to know. That is an absolute gift. So, Sarah, tell me, how might a starseed or a spiritual beginner recognize themselves? What kinds of characteristics do they have? The one for me that immediately springs to mind, and I don't know whether this is in your experience a characteristic that you've noticed, but I've noticed in myself that I'm insatiably curious about this kind of thing.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, there's the magnetic quality to it, isn't there? And so, I mean, I think first and foremost, you've got to feel yourself drawn to it. I mean, people wouldn't be here listening to this if they weren't, full stop. So I think we already tick that box. But, above and beyond that, I think, one of the things, there is no single thing that defines. Obviously, there isn't. We're all very different. But one of the things is that we know there's more.
Right.
We know there's more. We've been fed such small stories about who we are and our purpose in life. In fact, we've almost been fed non-stories because we're told that the only reason we're here is because two amoeba crashed together in a muddy puddle somewhere in the past, and there is no great purpose or plan or anything like this. It's just a series of coincidences that we became fish, then we became reptiles with legs, then we became, somehow from that we became monkeys, and then we became humans, and it's, I mean, it's such rubbish, it's laughable, but actually, people, very intelligent people have been conditioned, brainwashed, to believe this about themselves, and it really diminishes us at every level. And it's always dissatisfied me. These stories and these understandings have always dissatisfied me. So, I mean, I think there's that level of thinking, well, this can't be all there is. There's got to be more. This doesn't make sense to me. And I would feel this again and again. I love history. I'm designed to love history, so why wouldn't I? But, I love history, but I was constantly tripping over anomalies, and I'd read about this here and then something else there, and it's like, but that doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. So again, there's that, if you're curious and you're inquiring, and you start to join dots, and you see where the dots don't join, and they should join. If there's a unified understanding, they should join. So yeah, and I'll be very frank with you, in the very early days, Wendy, I felt like I had this great void inside me. I can always remember, when the first Alien film came out, one of the bylines for it was, "In space, no one can hear you scream." And I felt like that I had that great void inside me, and I was screaming in the void, because someone helped me. What? At that time, I wasn't awake and aware, and I was this starseed that had come to this planet. At some point, maybe we'll talk about, my birth process here, because it was sabotaged. And so I came into this planet on the back foot, without the, shall we say, the support structures for my mission here fully in place. And I was I arrived battered, and it's like I had massive concussion. I had to come in so fast and so quickly and so unprepared. I had massive concussion, and so I spent my childhood thinking, what the heck am I doing here? Help me, somebody help me. So there may be an element of that. The words "stranger in a strange land" would pop into my mind quite a lot. Especially during my teenage years. It's kind of like, I'm not one of these, but what am I?
Okay, I love that. So that's a characteristic of just feeling like you don't belong.
Yeah, or there's something more, or
Yeah,
yeah,
I love that.
things don't add up or whatever.
Well, I think that's definitely a future video. That fascinates me. So if it fascinates anybody else, please comment below, because we're just going to record videos with where we need to go. So just to round out this particular video, Sarah,
Yeah.
you shared with me that you are a blueprinter. Is that right? Can you just tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about that? Because the first question that came into my mind when you told me what you were is, oh, what am I? So tell us about you first. What
Yeah.
what have you found out about you? And then please move on to tell us how we can find out about what we are. That would be
Okay. Yeah. But I'm a blueprinter. Most star seeds come into, and I'm something called a blueprint changer. Most star seeds come into this universe, this galaxy, or however you want to talk about it. And they come into a particular point. So they come into the Sirian system, or they come in, they originate, their soul within the system originates from the Pleiades or from Andromeda or whatever it might be. Blueprinters are slightly different. Blueprinters actually, I mean, we live in a multidimensional. This is going to be another video. It's got to understand the multidimensionality that we live within. But we live within a multidimensional universe, and the very top dimensional fields are what are called the founder fields. And from the founder fields came the next set of dimensions down, the founder races, the first incarnated races, as it were. I come directly from the consciousness gestalts of the founder fields, and I'm kind of like, the boots on the ground infantry aspect of who they are, because they have created this entire universe, and all creation within it. And like everything, it's a vast experiment. It's one of many, many vast experiments going on in the multiverse or the omniverse, or however you want to phrase it. And blueprint changers are like the troubleshooters. And we come in with, I think I know an awful lot, but not to any great depth, because I'm here to look at the big picture and to see that's not quite right, or that's off course, or that's out of alignment, or things have gone badly wrong here. What do we need to do, both as individuals and as collective, to tweak that back, or to shift it back to where it needs to be? And I'm not the only one here on the planet doing this, because there's a lot wrong on this. It's been very deliberately made wrong on this planet. So there's a huge amount of work to do here. So I also consider myself to be, I'm one of the foot soldiers. I've kind of been sent out to try and help diagnose where things are going off course, and what can we do to get them back on course. There are other blueprinters here called blueprinter technicians, and I was talking to one last week. And blueprinter technicians have a different function. They're here to come up with new structures, shall we say, for going forwards. So it's going to be the blueprinter technicians who are helping us to really envisage and build the new earth that we're moving into. There are other blueprinters as well, but most of them don't incarnate. They stay within the creational fields doing what they do. Now, all of this and more besides, I've written a book on it to just outline this, called Understanding Star Seeds, that looks at the different types of star seeds and the qualities they have as an incarnated human. So I'm not talking about your home on Sirius or your home on Pleiades. It's about, the qualities, the innate qualities that you bring from different areas of the galaxy, because different races have different specialities, as it were. And you bring those into the incarnation here to be of service to humanity at some level. So it helps you to understand, why am I here? What purpose or purposes do I serve here? And how am I doing that? And you say a lot of the time, these are things that are very innate to us, and we don't even see as being particularly special often. So, you know, you're here being what you need to be just by being who you are. But the important thing is to be who you truly are, not who you've been told to be. So
I find such a comforting message, and I think it will be comforting to many people who are listening to this, who, like you say, so many of us are searching for our purpose, not realizing that we're already living it.
yes, yes.
And for me, there's something in me that just goes, oh, thank goodness, because almost anything else on top, if we can just claim, if you like, that knowing that we're already here on purpose,
Yeah.
then anything else that we do is like icing on the top.
Yes.
It's just a fun expression of who we are in our human form. So, Sarah, how can people get hold of your book?
It's on Amazon, and it's a self-published book on Amazon, so it's print on demand. It's available on, sorry?
Will you link that in the comments for us?
Yeah, absolutely. It's also available on my website. I keep a certain number of copies here because not everybody likes dealing with Amazon, which I understand, but you know, necessary evils and all that. Yeah, so and I also do starseed reports, which again you can get off my website if you want to understand. If you think you might be a starseed, and you want to understand who you are and where you've come from, and you know, be pointed in the right direction. Yeah. That's also available, so I'll put a link for that below as well.
Well, I can definitely recommend those. Of course, my very first question when you told me what you were was, what am I? So I can recommend Sarah's Starseed reports wholeheartedly. Very, very useful information that just helps us to synthesize, crystallize, and, you know, have those aha moments and those expansive moments of, I get it.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Sarah. I can't wait to record the next video with you.
Okay, well, thank you, Wendy, and thank you everyone for listening. If you know, all the normal stuff about if you like, you know, tick the button and subscribe and all of this. There's a whole blurb you're meant to go through. I'm not very good at it, but people have heard it often enough to know what it needs to be. So yeah, and I look forward to the next one. Thank you.